Kia ora, and welcome to the Beer Jerk Beer of the Week Drink Along. I'm Luke, and this week we're drinking Riding Pine, a red IPA from Southpaw. I had to look up what Riding Pine means. It's a sports term, so you sports fans might all know about it already. It's when you're sitting on the bench during a baseball match or some other sort of a sporting event when you're not on the field, but you're just sitting in reserve waiting to be called up. Then you're Riding Pine. Southpaw name a lot of the beers after sporting type stuff. Obviously Southpaw being Southpaw is a boxer that's left-handed, but I'm also just thinking now maybe it's a baseball thing as well. I guess maybe a baseballer that hits the ball with their other hand or the other side. You all probably know much better than I do. If you do, please correct me and fill me in on the NZ Beer Jerks Facebook members group, so I can get a bit educated about sports. Anyway, Southpaw are in Hornby in Christchurch, and they seem like really lovely people. I haven't met them in person yet. I need to get down to Christchurch soon and go and visit their brewery. They've got a 1200 litre brew kit there where they do some really interesting stuff. A lot of it's really hop forward and inspired by the beers of the USA. And I said they seem like nice people. That's mainly based on following their head brewer Cam on Twitter, where he just posts lots of hilarious, irreverent and funny stuff. This is a red IPA, which is one of my favourite non-German beer styles. What I love about red IPAs generally is I quite like a bit of body in my beer, and if a brewer gets it right, then the sort of the sweetness and the fruity notes of the malts can go really nicely with the aromatic character of the hops. And as this is called Riding Pine, I'm guessing it might be quite piney. Let's see. It is indeed. This is This is really delicious. Yeah, I could drink a lot of this beer. This is definitely one that could become a regular go-to. It's often in our beer of the weeks. We've been going for getting on 8.5 years now, and it's a different beer every week. And as part of that journey, it's fun bringing you beers that are unusual and strange and a bit weird, and things that you might not ordinarily pick up off the shelf. And there's a lot of beers that we've had previously, which are beers that you'll drink once and you're quite happy to have experienced it, but you're not rushing out to drink some more. Whereas this, on the other hand, is a beer that I could certainly drink every week. If I live close to Hornby in their venue, I probably would be popping in regularly to get some of this red IPA. Piney. It's made with Tahiki, which is a New Zealand hop. Tahiki is the name of a river that flows through Motueka in the Nelson area. I did look it up recently. I think Tahiki is Maori for breath of wind, I believe. And New Zealand Cascade. Sorry, I meant to say American Cascade, which is one of the elder American hops. It was developed in the 50s originally, and it became commercially available in the 1970s. And it wasn't really till sort of the late 70s, 80s that the prohibition laws in the USA were gotten rid of, repealed, to mean that smaller breweries could start operating, which really kicked off this whole modern wave of the craft beer revolution. It was illegal to make beer in the United States. I think it still is illegal to distill spirits there. We're allowed to do it here in New Zealand and most of the civilized countries. But in the States, you've only been able to legally brew beer in the last few decades. So Cascade is, I suppose, the backbone of this modern era of American pale ales and IPAs that sort of swept through the country in the 80s and the 90s. And a red IPA is also an American invention. I think it was probably the early 2000s, so probably just 20 years ago, that someone came up with a very smart idea of taking a malt bill that's inspired by, I suppose, Irish red ales and a lot of those traditional British real ales as well that would have just red malt and red character in them, and just combining it with hops like those classic American C hops, of which Cascade is one of them. So from the malt here, I'm getting lovely sort of, I suppose, a little bit of like biscuity, fruity notes to it. Definitely got a bit of a fruitcake vibe going on, and the pine, as I've said. But I'm getting real, yeah, almost like some zesty grapefruit, some floral notes in there. It's 5.5%, which is kind of midway between your English IPAs, which are they come from bitters, I suppose. So an English bitter is an English pale ale or India pale ale. It's all a little bit murky. And then American IPAs generally would be around about 6.5% ABV. But yeah, this at 5.5%, it's full of body. There's a lot going on there. As I say, it's a very characterful beer, but a beer you can definitely drink a lot of. I'm waffling now, perhaps because I'm bloody exhausted. I've been spent the day with Joe packing all these fresh hop boxes, and the fresh hop from Southpaw was one of my favourites in that box. So we've got the fresh hop full harvest box that we've had for pre-sales, but now we actually are shipping. So that's 24 of our picks from this year's fresh hop harvest. And there's some pretty fantastic beers in there, some real good highlights. We just had the festival at the weekend here at the Fridge and Flagon, and I've got to working my way through quite a few of the beers. And the gang at Southpaw did a fresh hop saison, a farmhouse ale, which was really interesting, and that was really popular with drinkers just because it was something a little bit different. Most breweries did an IPA or a pale ale. So it was really cool that they did something a little bit out of left field, and just the expression that they got out of the fresh hop in there worked really nicely with sort of more wheaty farmhouse style, which was really cool to see. So yeah, I think we've got maybe 20 of the fresh hop full harvest boxes left, and also if 24 beers is too much for you, you can get the humulus or the lupulus, which are each different 12 packs, and we have got a really fun event happening on Saturday here at the Fridge and Flagon. We've got our friends from Memory Foam, which is a really noisy band, coming and playing quite a full-on 20-minute gig. And that's going to be immediately followed by a screening of one of the greatest films, Demolition Man. So grab a ticket online. The bar's open as usual on Saturday, but if you want to stay late for the gig and for the film, then you need to grab a ticket for that. That is this Saturday. Anyway, as I say, I need to go and sit down and do some work and maybe drink another beer to relax after the hectic day I've had. Great work, Southpaw. I'm looking forward to coming down and visiting you, hopefully later this year. Well overdue a trip to Christchurch. And thanks for joining along on the Beer Jerk journey. I look forward to seeing you next time. Cheers.